Do you want to clap? What's the situation here?
Don't need to clap.
No need to clap.
I like how everybody has their own, like they watch somebody else do it or somebody else taught it to them, and that's the way they do it every time. They have, you know what I mean? I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, I gotta like, when it comes to like anything production, I have to like back off. Pretty much.
Okay.
I have to learn how to back
it's
off.
It's fine. I appreciate it, but it is funny because it's like I'm the one that's gonna have to edit this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
So it's like,
good luck.
who gives a shit?
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of why I'm doing this. Hi guys, welcome back to the Sonderist podcast. My name is Joshua Emerson. I am your host. There's no real mission statement for the podcast beyond like bring on interesting people. If you don't know what to Sonder is, it's when you're sitting there and your narcissistic self, you know, you got this big ego, you're like, oh, my life is hard and I feel these emotions and stuff. And then you take a moment and you look over and you make eye contact with a stranger or a friend or really anybody. And you realize that person is the main character in their own life, that they have their own wants and needs and history behind themselves. And that realization that that you aren't the only person in the universe is called to Sonder. So that's what it is. And my guest today, very, very fun guy. Really interesting, I think. You know, despite how short he is. Give it up for Gabe Fermin, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
This is my first podcast.
First podcast
I've ever done. Ever.
Yeah. You have any questions?
A lot. Your name, the Sonderist. I love that.
Oh, you do?
I love it. No, I think it's great. When you're a kid and you like have that, like it's like a firmware update.
Uh-huh.
You kind of like. I remember when I was a kid and I was like on this long road trip down to Mexico, and I remember like we were driving by this car, and I look over and I'm just like, I must have been like, I don't know, 11 or something.
Okay, so
and I was like, they got a whole thing going. Like they're going somewhere particular and they're gonna like have dinner with somebody or by themselves, or like they're gonna when they exit, it's like they're gonna go do their own thing, and it's just as important as what I'm doing. And it like really kind of hurt my mind a little bit. I was just like, wait. And then there's all these other cars filled with all these other people and all these other branches. Like,
it's
you know,
a lot
it's
of anxiety.
Like,
you're like, holy shit.
It was weird. You know? It was like, but it was really cool too. And I think like I'm a big like people watcher, and I think like I think about that moment a lot, where I'm just like, oh yeah, like if people have their own shit going on, and it's a really good like it's a good like ego kill to be like, oh yeah, I'm this thing that I think is so important is really just like one of, you know, billions, right? Yeah. So I think that's cool. I like that. When did you get your firmware update, you think, on that?
All the time, and I have to keep getting it. I feel like it's important. I would like as a kid like just like lie in bed and realize that like my consciousness never stops. Like there's no like stop to like actively living in existence.
Right.
You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just that when you close your eyes and you're like, oh, I'm thinking these thoughts. I can't stop thinking. Like I can't stop time at all. You know, like time is just happening. Oh, I'm Josh, and I live in this bed, and you know that this just realization of like that existence is a thing. I would have those sudden like moments that were always unnerving. Yeah, and then I mean now lately I feel like I've been turning into a douchebag because like I'm working on all these fun projects that I really believe in, and they also I believe in them so much that they require me to pitch them to people, like to sell them, and I love to do that, but I feel like I've turned into this guy that's like always like, hey guys, working on this new thing, or yeah, it's really cool. It's this is the information. I don't necessarily need to try to fill every waking moment with trying to create something. That there's also just this rhythm and harmony. Harmony's been like this word that's come up a lot in the past year that I really just want to try to find. I don't know. You ever feel like that?
You should be proud of yourself for like all of these things that you have to like promote, like, you know, coming from somebody who like really hates promotion, but also at the same time it's like very important because like we work really hard for these things that we do, you know. Both of us being like in an entertainment industry kind of thing, it's like we're so wrapped up in like making things and creating things that you forget that like the actual good stories come from when you're not doing any of that stuff, right? Like the good stories like come from like just living a life and like, you know, traveling, talking with your grandma, like, you know, just like, you know, again, like talking to a stranger, you know, you never know like where all these like cool stories go. And so if you get wrapped up in your own bullshit, really, it's you lose touch of like real storytelling. And I can't personally watch another like film about making films.
So self-indulgent, especially since it's been done well before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Right.
I want people to understand. I want to communicate through the lens, the stuff that I'm thinking about while I'm making this other stuff that they just eat up. For those of you who don't know, Gabe, is 6 o'clock films.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
is that because of the beard or like?
I worked at a digital marketing company. And before I did that, I was like, you know, I got my minor in film. I loved making like videos ever since I was like in school. Missed making shit whenever I was in sales, and so I started this making videos for clients like on my iPhone, and I was starting to make a little bit of money to where I had to like actually create an LLC, and I went with 6 o'clock films because I started working on it after 5.
Okay.
So it's the 9 to 5 and then 6 o'clock, and then I turned it into like, it's like, oh, also 6 o'clock is like best light, you know, AM and PM. And then I made like the logo like a shutter, and which is, you know, a 6 o'clock on the clock. So that was all like, you know, after the fact, retroactively like making it like more than it is. But it started off just being like, I work on this at 6 o'clock. I need some sort of LLC. This is just temporary. Like it's not gonna be anything.
But then you find things you like about it.
Yeah,
you know
and then it's like, then it grows on me, and then I was like, all right, it's kind of cool. And
I like how you're like, we really specialize in golden hour cinema. All right, natural light,
specifically,
baby.
Yeah. We do not shoot between the hours of, you know, of like 11 and 4.
What have been your biggest successes at the company?
It's weird because like I think success for me has kind of like really shown itself a lot last year, where I think like I'm realizing that like the success in the traditional sense that I always thought it was, whether that's like money or like recognition, is like really cool, but like really the success is like in the fact that like I get to do this on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? When I think about success, like I'm just appreciating that I get to like the original idea was to pay my bills and and film stuff. That was the original intent. And the fact that I get to do that on top, and then also like have certain recognitions and like accolades and things happen, and get to make a short film with friends, like or short films, you know, plural, like that's crazy to me. And like that's like a huge success. And yes, the goalpost is always moving, but I think here recently I'm trying to think about like how like cool that is that I get to do this. Like
I think it's pretty cool that you shot a cover of National Geographic. I feel like that's a moment in history. So many, especially Americans, can like sort of understand that as part of the cultural zeitgeist. It's something that is just like a century old type thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, that's, you know, I owe everything to Chanupa and Ginger. Chanupa Hanska Luger, he reached out to Stephen Yazzie, who's a good friend of mine. He was one of my groomsmen. He's a mentor of mine. Yeah. He's a brother, uncle, father, like, you know, figure to me in every sense of the word. And he was reached out to by Chanupa to go shoot him in the desert in the White Sands. And Yazzie's like, maybe let Gabe go do it. You know, I'm busy. I'm doing these other things. Gabe, go do that. And that was in 2021. And everything that's come from it, including the Nat Geo cover, is like, you know, I feel very grateful that you know, Yazzie passed that on to me. Like it was like just, and I'm sure he was like, he did encourage me, and he was like, I think this is up your alley, you should go do this. But also like the fact that like when I got there and I met, me and Chanupa and Ginger got to know each other on this 7-hour drive down to White Sands, and I was just like, oh, I love these people that we're gonna like, this is a very collaborative experience, and there's no ego, and he, you know, he's open to ideas, but he's also like, he's very much has a very like a complete vision. And so like everything that we shot and everything, like, you know, including the Nat Geo stuff, is like, that was like him being like, you know, him leading the charge, and the fact that they chose the photo, and the fact that they even submitted those photos. Oh, you know, smart. Like they did let me know. They're like, hey, we submitted them, just letting you know, don't get your hopes up, but like this is what happened. And
did you get your hopes up? Like,
no, I mean, to me, I'm just like, I'm honored that they even
thought they were good enough.
that they even thought it was good enough to send. And then the next step kind of came in, and it was like, hey, they're considering them for like to be inside the magazine.
Sick.
Which for me, like, that's like, okay, that's dream, you know, that's like pipe dream kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's not something I ever thought would ever happen. But the fact that it's like, even consider that people at Nat Geo are like, hey, these photos could potentially be in here. Let's think about them.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, I won. That's fucking dope. And then that just kind of kept going on. And then finally, whenever they let me know, they're like, hey, they're considering it for the cover. And then whenever it happened on the cover, I was like super excited. And I remember I was just so excited. And I went home and told my now wife about it, and she was like, we should celebrate it. And I'm like, let's get some pizza and hang out at home.
Oh,
and that was
sweet.
the greatest celebration for it. But it was they are the kinds of artists that are like, we're bringing you in to do what you do. Like, we trust you. We're not gonna we're not gonna be like super and they could be very like, you know, strong, strict vision, but they just kind of let me play. And then they had a few things they had to say. And then, you know, a lot of the things we shot on that trip, you know, they were like, as long as we can get these shots, let's play with it and do whatever else we can. Yeah. And I mean, that exhibit or that installation has kind of done all kinds of stuff for them and for me. And so it's been a really cool project to be a part of.
Where's on display right now?
So I think the most recent thing, it was at Sharjah in Dubai.
Okay. Wow. Shit.
Yeah, and it's been all over the place, and I've done other work with him too, and so we continue to do all kinds of work together. Yazi was kind of just like, hey, here's an opportunity, like, to grow. Yeah.
Like, even without the accolades, like,
absolutely, yeah.
It's a project that you have to go show up and then shoot.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, and taking it as serious as I could, and also like I think there's no way we could have known what it was going to turn into, but like I think that like I really do think Yazi did like look at that as an opportunity for me as he was handing it off. That was Yazi. I met him on a ski trip, and I remember he was like, "Yeah, I'm a painter and like a overall like, you know, mixed media artist," and really just like did not sell himself at all. And I was like, "Oh, this guy's really cool. Like, I don't know what he does." And then I like turns out like this guy is like, you know, in the art world, especially the indigenous art world, he's just pretty like big. He's huge. Like, yeah, I went to Indian Market with him, and everyone's just like, Steven Yazi, are you Steven Yazi? Can we take a photo with you, Steven? Like, oh my gosh, I was like, this guy, like, this is like this. It's so funny, but it's just like that. Just is a testament to how humble he is. You know, he's just like a really humble dude.
I still want to buy a print from him. It's the one with the coyotes fucking on the couch.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I want that in my house
good.
so much. Yeah,
it's so good.
It looks fucking sick. I don't know, the screenshot right here.
Yeah. You know, whenever I met him, I was shooting on my iPhone, and this was like 2017 or something, 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. But I remember like specifically, I was editing other people's footage, and then he was like, "Do you want to use my camera? Like, I got this old Canon C100, and feel free to use it. It shoots 1080 and whatever." Like, which at the time I was like, "This is really cool," and like, I don't know anything about, you know, what a shutter angle is or anything like that, but I'll learn this. And then he basically just like gave me this camera. I ended up like giving it back to him so we could donate it to an organization that we worked with. But it was, cool. I mean, I did a lot of work on that. Yeah. Had a camera, and then he got another camera, and then I bought that camera from him, and then he got another camera, and then he like gave me that camera. It was like this like funny thing where I was like getting all his leftovers, but then he was like, and then he just was like, I'm just stripping down, and I kind of like got too much shit, and now I'm feeling like I need to strip down a little more. But
you think you need to?
Yeah, I mean, I just think like,
give me some cameras. How about that?
Yeah,
how about we include Josh in the little weird sort of hermit crab of cameras lying.
Hey, listen, I got the thing is like these cameras, to sell them, they're worth less to sell them than to like have them like for projects, you know what I mean? But you're more than welcome to use my cameras if you know, if they're available. Sweet. I'm very happy to lend them over to you. I notice you have like a very through line of like how you shoot things and promote things, where you'll just like set up a camera and you might say a few things, and then it like, and then a song pops in, and then it's like, and then you show up like the posters of everything you got going on.
Try to.
It's kind of, it's like a cool like calling card where it's like, it's not different all the time. It's always like a similar like feel to everything, you know?
Yeah. Well, because I know where I want to be as a comedian, and even just as a creator, you know, and I have to get good at this shit.
Yeah,
I really do.
Who do you like
Josh Johnson?
Yeah, I was gonna like follow and say like, you know, I like to you know, not mimic, but like, you know, I like to like take inspiration from these certain comics or creators.
That's a good question. I don't really have like you know how you steal from artists, you know what I mean? When it comes to short form creators, I consume a lot of it, but I haven't really identified who I really, really like. I guess if I like, now that I'm just like thinking about it, what rises to the top, there's this guy named Mario on TikTok. He's in like sort of like a TikTok celebrity relationship with this other like makeup girly named Bryn, and seeing
I love that there's like a little like,
oh dude,
like spicy like magazine
relationships
like,
sell on TikTok,
like,
man,
tabloid kind of situation.
Because
is this the new tabloids? Just like TikTok A is with TikTok B, or
something. Well, it's the new like people like to. It's like the reality television.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But it is their real life that they're sort of parsing up and delivering to you to be entertaining, because they built this really pseudo relationship with so much of their audience. They're so personal, so like intimate, and that part has been crazy. I think I should be more intentional in being like, I like this. What are they doing with this shot? Taking short form content and making it and trying to throw cinema on it, I am very jealous of. And I want to get better at. You know?
Yeah. For you, like social media is like, you know, that's how you get the word out, and like, you know, and you start to create like an online personality, if you will, like whether you like it or not, right? Like we all do. But you're putting yourself like your face in front of the camera a lot. And do you ever think about like maybe like, you know, like creating some like fake like persona where like, you know, like you kind of beef with another comedian, or like, you know what I mean, to just to stir up some shit and like create a little storyline, like maybe even like as a writing exercise, you know what I mean, like to like
it's smart. I've never done that, you know. No, that's not true. I'll do it in my head. Like I used to like have this weird need to have a rival or something like that, and not even like communicate it to that person, but like just in my head being like, oh, this person is sort of in the same, you know, level of me, and people really like them. I need to be as good as them. I need like that.
You need the competition. Yeah. Totally. I feel
it's
that.
not that healthy though, and people don't like it that much. When they're like, "What the fuck are you? Why are you trying to box me out right now?"
You're just like super pissed off at them, and they're like, "Yo,
try hard."
Yeah. Dude, what the fuck did I do? Well, but okay, like take that idea and then just kind of approach the person and be like, hey, I have this funny idea where like maybe we like brew this little like shit talking thing together, and then we do a show together or whatever, right? Like I don't know, like it's like wrestling, you know what I mean? Like wrestling is like,
it's like this, sketch too.
It's sketch,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, I mean, what is wrestling but like a big theater? You know what I mean? It's a big ongoing
you're doing
theater.
These hits, you know what I mean?
You're like, okay, this next episode is going to be super intense, and so it's like that, but like almost like don't tell people if it's real or not, you know what I mean? Like kind of keeping let them like figure out if it's,
but which means that you have to play it believable, you know what I mean?
Totally.
But you do have to turn up some emotions, but it has to be at least believable enough that they buy into it. You know what I mean? That'd be a fun thing to play with.
I think that'd be fun. I think like coming from somebody who doesn't put myself out there a lot, but it's like I think like as far as like if you know, if you're thinking about creating content and like also like you're already creating an online personality, there's just something fun about like fucking with people.
Oh, yeah. And it's like with Edinburgh Fringe, I'm going to be all there. My whole task there is to get better as an artist, as a performing artist. So I'm going to be like trying to podcast like every day. It's like you got to throw in ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, I think that's a great one. You have a lot of good ideas. You make a lot of good decisions. The whole reason we're doing this right now is to talk about a short film written, directed by this guy, starring me, and some other fun people from the community. Sid Whiting, I thought it was a big get, oddly enough, because he's
huge get.
I think so.
Yeah, huge.
I think that is such a masterclass move of like a real person that has had positive impact on the Denver indigenous community for decades, and he's funny, you know?
Yeah.
And he came to the idea with stuff, like he brought stuff from his home that looked sick and ideas and was great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of it.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, Uncle Sid. That's I met Sid. When did I meet Sid? Honestly, I think I did this documentary piece where kids from Hawaii, like indigenous kids from Hawaii, came Anahola tribe. They came and were essentially doing this culture exchange. Yeah, and during the culture exchange, Sid was kind of part of like showing them how to build a teepee here.
Oh, so
and
fun.
like, you know, building a teepee, which I learned a lot, but it's like building a teepee on the mainland. You know, it's like everything you think about is completely different than living on an island. You know what I mean? Like they're like used to hurricanes and we're used to tornadoes and all these things. But I remember Sid, I was filming him, and he would just say funny shit and not mean it, like not mean to, like he would just, it's just like his whole energy is like he has really funny comedic timing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like I just, as I was like filming him, I was just like, I love this guy's awesome. And then I think it was like 2 days that I filmed with him, and then I saw him another time and I was just like, Sid, what's up? And he's like, oh hey, like super sweet, remembered me. Knowing You Denver was which is another film that Stephen Yazzie made, that I shot for him.
Sort of how we met, actually.
That's how we met. Yeah. So but before we shot the film, there was focus groups, and Sid was in my focus group, and so there was this like really cool exchange of like him being like, I've been in Denver for so many years, and I'm coming in as somebody who's pretty new to Denver. I moved here in 2016. Oh yeah. And so we were having this like interesting like conversation back and forth, and I just remember being like, man, I feel like a really kinship to this guy, and then. And, you know, he's at every indigenous thing, that event that happens in Colorado, basically. And so whenever we did that, we got Sid to read part of the poetry in that film. And then whenever I started making this film and writing this film, I was like, I wrote in the script, like, somebody like Sid Whiting.
No, that's great.
Like as far as casting goes, 100%. It's like, okay, like I picture this Sid character, you know, and he's this uncle, and he's but like an exaggerated Sid, you know what I mean? Like not exactly Sid, but like, you know, like the vibe. And I remember talking to Yazzie about it, and he was like, I was like, I just got to find somebody like Sid. I don't know who to find. And he's like, why not Sid? And I'm like, you think he'd do it? And he's like, you could ask him. Like, just ask him.
You could just say no.
And I approached. So Sid was like, let's have a coffee, and I want to meet with you, and I want to learn what the script is and what you're actually doing.
Were you like nervous?
A little bit, because it kind of felt like, I don't know that he was like super open to it in the beginning, and I think he wanted to make sure he agreed with the material, basically. And I met with him, essentially courted him, and was just like, okay, here's this idea I have. Like, I'd love for you to play this character. I wrote this character based on you, and obviously it doesn't need to be Sid Whiting. It could be Sid, whoever, but it all it needs to be is like, you need to play this uncle character. And when I told him about the script, and I told him the whole script, he was like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, this is I think this is gonna be and he's like, he said, I don't want to like cut this out, I guess, if it doesn't, if it spoils anything, but he was like, in Lakota tradition, like, you're not allowed to film healing ceremonies, but this is how you can film a healing ceremony. Oh man. And I was like, ooh, that's beautiful. Like, that's like, and like, it's like, I didn't know that's what I was doing yet, really. Like, but when he said that, it really like made sense for me, and even kind of, I was like, oh, okay, like this script needs to have that thematically, throughout it.
And also just the fact that like, sometimes it could just be, you can be in ceremony with your indigenous like community. You know what I mean? Like, that is going to help heal you. Going back to like those positive aspects of an indigenous community, especially as an urban native. Like, because you can lose a lot of that. That was one of my things that hit me the hardest, is the like losing my mom felt like I'm half white. My dad's white. My mom's Navajo. Losing her felt like I was losing a sense of my identity as being an indigenous guy. And so, what I did is I joined the Denver American Indian Commission and looked for opportunities to try to connect that way. And I've done a good and bad job in different ways with it. But one of my favorite things about the film is this just emphasis of native joy that is just so like so important but so casual. You know what I mean? Just all around you, and we're all sort of doing it with each other. And it's not like what I like most about it is it's not like, oh, poor baby. It's there is still like a ribbing of it, or there's still almost a sternness, but then there's a real like also being hugged. You know what I mean? Like the way Dakota was in the laundromat and the way Sid is, like, they felt very authentic in terms of how some of my favorite parts of how my own Native family has helped me deal with the grief.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was written off of, and you know, I think for me, like, I come from a very big family. Like, I come from a very loving family. Yeah. And I think along the way of everything I've ever done, I've always been embraced. I've always, you know, I'm the youngest of 6, and I've always been kind of like the
oh, baby
through joke is that I was so spoiled, like so spoiled, you know.
You probably were, you little shit. Like,
probably, it kind of shows. I definitely was, like, but also like my you know, older siblings, they all grew up in like a tiny trailer in the middle of West Texas, and it's like everybody's spoiled compared to that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, yeah, of course, I definitely was spoiled. I'll say it, but I would say,
he said it.
But I'll say,
he said it. Look at him.
But also, it was in comparison. So there's context involved. But I would say like whenever I grew up around like Sunday dinners and like, you know, just kind of like everyone, like, you know, having this like these growing up in this community where I felt like I didn't really fit into, like, you know, I didn't fit in with every single group. I kind of slid into each group one by one. But I always, you know, the family, like, you know, was the unit. And then so when I left home and I went to college, and then from college went to Denver, I lost that. And it wasn't like, and I wasn't like, oh, I miss having, you know, blood family, but it was like just a lack of community. And there's this feeling when you're brown and you see another brown person, you're just kind of like, what's up? Yeah, how you doing? Like, you know, and especially when it's just like nothing but white people, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not like, you know, it's not like you think every white person is going to kill you or every white person's racist. It's not a Get Out situation, but it is like this kind of like,
yeah. Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Right. We got an exit plan. I got an exit A, you got exit B. All right, cool. And I think like having that kind of like experience, I think that's like, for me, that's a big part of like where I write from, is like this, like, oh, I'm always craving more community. Yeah. And when I write, I think it's my best way, or I guess this film, it being the first thing I've written, it's my way of expressing that I want that, versus like, I don't know how to really say it in words as well as I can just show you, in my opinion. And I think like, as I wrote this film and then as it turned into something else, I kind of like realized, I'm like, oh, I have a really great community. I just don't tap into it or treat it like the way that I could.
And you do have a really great community. And not only like the indigenous community, but you in the independent film community here in Colorado too. There's a lot of people that worked on this that are fucking good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking good.
Oh yeah.
Professional.
Yeah.
You know, and they worked with you like because they believed in you. You know what I mean? Because you guys have already built that relationship together. They're like, oh, Gabe's doing a thing. I want to help contribute to make it fucking good. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is that it's like everyone that I had come on board, I really had to kind of be like, hey, we're stripping it down as much as possible. Like this is about as student film as will get as professionals in the industry. You know what I mean? But everyone was like embraced it. Everyone's like, cool, I love that. Let's do it. Like, you know, I'm asking, you know, Coleman, for example, is somebody who he's an AC, an incredible AC at that. But I had him come in and I was like, hey, look, it's not a traditional AC role. It's like kind of might need you to move some lights, might need you to kind of like, you know, check monitor, check focus for me, but like I'll be pulling focus and all these things. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah, bring me in.
Fun.
And like I didn't get a huge budget for it, but I was just like always like, hey, like I'll pay everybody something. And Coleman, you know, in particular was just like, hey, I'll come in another day. Don't worry about paying me. Like I like wanted to come, you know what I mean? And I think like
what a guy.
the way that we shot the thing and we did 6 4-hour days, right? Mm-hmm. Which I thought was like, I learned a lot from that because I'm like, oh, no one after a 4-hour day is like tired. You know what I mean? No one's like, shit. You know, everyone's kind of like jazzed up and they're like a little bit like just got going. You know what I mean? It's like ready to keep going kind of thing. Mm. But I've worked on short films, paid and unpaid, where it's 10 hours, 8 to 10 to 12 hours.
Just absolutely exhausted.
At the end of it, you could be the nicest person and you're grumpy. I'm grumpy. Like I shot this and this is, you know, a great experience, but I shot an overnight film, and at the end of it, like I was not a nice person. And so I think like I like to think that I'm a pretty nice guy on set, but that really pushed me.
AJ's another one too, just because like his ability to sort of take on that improv coach and like I guess assistant director. Is it AD on this?
Honestly, AJ came in, so
did a lot.
AJ is somebody who everybody should know. AJ Campley, if you don't already know him, he's incredible. In as far as like the independent filmmaking scene goes, he's probably somebody who I love in terms of like I love him in general, right. But like in terms of like pushing the community forward and wanting to do independent film, I think he's just got all the ambition that people need to hear and people need to like get inspired by. But when I approached him about this film, he saw Knowing You, Denver, and then he was like, whatever else you're doing, I want to be a part of. I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be a part of it.
March 25th, Finding the Funny, premiering at the MCA Holdiay. It's on display at the Denver Art Museum on the 3rd floor in the Native American Art Exhibit as part of Sustained. This is Gabe Fermin right here. Go ahead and pitch him the film real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah, so film Finding the Funny is about an indigenous comedian who is going through a creative rut, and he finds unexpected inspiration through his community on the way to a big show. And so that's the premise. It's a film made with love, a lot of Denver filmmakers in it. It's my baby right now. I wrote it, directed it, shot it, and I'm really stoked about it. And I got to work with Josh on it, and he let me pull him and prod him in every emotional direction. So I appreciate him for that.
I cried for this film.
Yeah. He cried twice. For it. So
two
definitely
takes.
come.
All right. Thanks, bud.